This video is about my fascination with black holes. Black holes hain kya? They are celestial bodies that are, they can suck anything in their vicinity. Light cannot escape it, all of this stuff. And if you've watched Interstellar, it's a beautiful movie. You've seen the gargantuan, the black hole known as gargantua. It's a very massive, supermassive black hole. It has its own photon sphere and everything. I'm going to tell you about how I became fascinated with black holes in this video. Let's begin. Let's start with the backstory. What is my story with black holes? Well, ever since I was a child, I was interested in looking at the stars in the night sky. If you observe human psychology, you can understand that there's an innate nature in all human beings, especially in all children of the world. There's an innate natural instinct to look up at the sky and wonder about the world, about the universe and everything. In Arabic, this term is called fitra. So फितरत जैसे वो कहते हैं हम लोग in Urdu and Hindi. So एक इंसान की फितरत क्या है? What is his natural instinct that he's always surrounded in, that he's always following. My fitra was the one that drove me towards learning physics, which has its own backstory. One more thing, when I was in ninth or 10th, I think, I was watching this English movies channel. I was watching some movie, waiting for some movie, and there was this movie called The Theory of Everything. And man, I was always fascinated with physics and anything of astrophysics and astronomy. And I thought, what is it about? And I read about the movie. It was about Stephen Hawking, who I was really following at that time. I was fascinated with Hawking. So I was reading books that Hawking wrote. I have a few books I could show you. So this was the last book authored by Hawking. It's called Brief Answers to the Big Questions. So it was his last book. I also have this small book on the black hole lectures. Yeah. So the backstory is really simple. I was into reading Hawking's books. And there's also this book that I have, A Briefer History of Time. I don't have it right now, but when I read it for the first time, I was genuinely fascinated about the whole concepts of space, time, gravitational forces, reunifying quantum mechanics and gravity. And Hawking spent his entire life trying to develop a working theory, a grand unified theory. Einstein also tried to do that, but well, he died. So that did not happen. So the Theory of Everything was a biopic of Hawking during his years at Cambridge when he was a student in astrophysics, and about his love life with Jane Hawking. And that movie really inspired me to at least pursue a career in astrophysics and study black holes. I was so fascinated by the concept of an entity that's so powerful in gravity that it essentially comes down to nothing. So if you look at the stages of a star, I'll come back to that later. Let me give one more brief thing. So ever since my childhood, I was fascinated with science, physics, how the workings of the world, how do they happen? What's the mechanism behind things? So back in 11th, when I was in 11th, I was briefly introduced to this physics professor at MIT, Walter Lewin. So I have his book. This guy, who literally sat atop a pendulum to demonstrate that the mass of the bob at the end of the pendulum, it does not affect the time period. He actually sat on the pendulum. So that's fascinating. So I was introduced to him and I thought, wow, this is an extraordinary guy. He is teaching physics the way it was meant to be taught. And so I bought this book for the love of physics, which he authored, and in this he tries to sum down whatever he has taught at MIT and his career as well. Physics is one of the first things I've ever loved. I still love physics. The rules of physics actually sort of govern my life's journey. So whenever I'm trying to do something, whenever I'm thinking about stuff, I always think how I would approach that problem by the laws of physics. the whole methodology. And with physics, since I was naturally my fitra inclined me towards learning physics as well as astronomy. So you combine those two words and you get astrophysics. So astrophysics is the study of celestial objects and the physics governing them. And that's when I thought, I want to study astrophysics, because black holes is where that is studied. Black holes is one of the fields that astrophysicists studied. So you look at Neil Tyson, you look at Hawking, Roger Penrose, Kip Thorne. All of them are studying astrophysics. And so I bought this book. It's a basic introductory book, and Introduction to Astrophysics. I'll turn this around. An Introduction to Astrophysics. It's by Baidyanath Basu, and it's an introductory course in astrophysics for Indian students especially. And so, well, I haven't got the time to read all of it. I'm till here at least. Yeah, I haven't read black holes, but it's a fascinating. It's a good book. It's good literature. Why black holes? Let's come to the topic of the video. Why am I fascinated with black holes? It's only natural. You look at all the celestial bodies in nature. You look at galaxies, nebulas, comets, meteoroids, asteroids. You look at clusters of stars. You look at constellation, everything. Even you look at neutron stars, one of the fastest rotate. You look at pulsars. You look at quasars. You take all of them, but I still love black holes. Why is that? Because there's a subtle beauty in what a black hole is. Okay, so for my non-science viewers, I would like to, well, sort of tell you. Just imagine you have this large star. Okay, let's take our sun. And what you want to do is you compress it, you compress it to a single point. You compress all of that mass, that heaviness into a little point. And what you get is, well, ultimately a black hole. So imagine putting all of that matter, that heavy matter, into a very tiny point. And that's what a black hole is in the terms of our sun. And well, that's a tiny black hole. But you look at galaxies, and you often see that they harbor a black hole at the center, a supermassive black hole that has the mass of thousands of suns, millions of suns, right? So I was fascinated because black holes were the only, like, one of the only celestial objects that did not just, it was not working. We still don't understand anything about the black hole. We don't know what's at the center of the black hole. We don't know what's inside the black hole, because there's this thing called the event horizon, this black part, and beyond that you cannot look, because, well, that's where gravity takes over and light cannot escape from that point onwards. So you don't know what's inside. We don't know about the singularity, whether it is naked, or, well, not naked in that sense, but whether we can view it and understand its physical properties. We still don't know for a fact whether anything that's going inside a black hole, the information paradox, we don't know whether that information can be sustained by a black hole, and where is it capturing all that information. We still don't know that. We do know for a fact that black holes do radiate over time, which is called Hawking radiation. And there's a sense of mystery in all of these things that, fascinated me with black holes. I mean, someone comes along the way and they say, "Oh, I'm interested in exoplanets." I would say, okay, fine. What's so interesting? I mean, okay, they may harbor life. That's big. They may have new systems to study, which is nothing new. But if you come to a black hole is just, it's a monster, yet a beautiful and a peaceful one. It will rip you apart, but it has a sense of an embrace about it. These black holes. I mean, you go to one and, well, you'll be spaghettified, and you'll be shrunk down and thinned into little pieces of, like little pieces of paper, and you'll die. But there's this fascination about, going into the unknown. We humans have that in our fitrat, as I said before, in our natural instinct. So black holes did that for me. Now, what am I going to do about it? So I want to pursue this study of black holes. I don't want to stop at just knowing a few stuff. No, I really want to get deep into the research. try to see what's going on around in the scientific community, in the academic community. So I would love to pursue research on this. And there's also many journals in the scientific community that I could study. Journals and peer reviews on black holes. Now, if you are someone who also wants to study black holes, I would suggest first get an elementary understanding of physics. So you got to cover motion, gravity, the classical physics. Then you will have to move on to quantum mechanics, which is very important because black holes have something to do with that. We know for a fact. Then what you got to do is study. Once you have developed a basic understanding of physics, what you got to do is study general relativity. So this is what Einstein brought forth. And general relativity is, well, it's the study of how gravity affects things, and specifically the space-time curvature. Space-time, the fabric of space-time. How does gravity, how do massive objects change, alter the structure of space-time? So general relativity teaches us that. You also got to study tensors, which are basically mathematical objects, entities. And all of these shapes, all of them are described by tensors, right? You got to study that. Tensor, calculus, tensor, algebra, everything's important. Then you move on to black hole physics. So that's where we actually, delve into astrophysics. So there's tons of material on that, research papers, and we also have got the Event Horizon Telescope. That's collecting data all the time from certain black holes. And there's also a subject in mathematics called information theory, which you have to study to understand black holes because, as I said, there's this information paradox, the black hole information paradox, which we still don't know how do we solve it. Black holes are one of the greatest things to have ever existed out there in the cosmos, and it's only a natural inclination towards learning about these things that get us into the unknown. So there's a quote by Hawking, and he said, it's important for us, it's necessary for us to boldly go where no man has gone before. So it's philosophical, and it really it really gets your brain running. How we can become at least how we can become an extraplanetary species. What's our purpose out there? Black holes are one of the things that make us question everything about reality because they are just fascinating. I don't have to tell you. Just watch Interstellar. Just watch Interstellar. You'll be fascinated. You'll be blown, literally. Alright, so that's it for this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm posting content all the time. Not frequently, but yes, I'm planning new ideas. And I'm also preparing for the BCES show. That's the podcast I talked about in my intro video. So, and also if you want these books, if you're in Indore, in my city, I have my email on the YouTube channel, or you can contact me on any social media platform, and I'll see if I can get you these books. All right, I'll sign off for now.